fire burned, the defendant walked up the same trail from earlier that night to watch the fire and firefighters.
7 on Your Side investigates the potential mistakes made in fighting the Palisades fire. The after-action report was just released. Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
I'm Michelle Fisher. You're watching Eyewitness News at 5, live on ABC 7 Hulu and wherever you stream. That breaking news now, a 29-year-old Uber driver facing serious charges in connection with the deadly Palisades fire. The feds say that Jonathan Rinderknecht lit a brush fire on New Year's Day. LA Fire says it put it out, but then days later, it reignited and grew into one of the most destructive wildfires in our state's history.
How could this have happened? 7 on Your Side investigative reporter Kevin Osbeck looking into the missteps and failures by the city and county of LA. And we begin with Eyewitness News reporter Sophie Flay with new insight about the man in custody tonight. Sophie.
A massive investigation by the ATF and now a criminal complaint revealing shocking details about how the Palisades fire started and who is being accused of intentionally lighting the spark.
29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht has been arrested and charged in connection for igniting a flame that eventually turned into the deadly Palisades fire in January. He's accused of starting the Lockman fire 12 minutes into the start of the new year on January 1st. He was working as an Uber driver the night before, according to the federal complaint.
That fire started on January 1st, and it smoldered underground for about a week until on January 7th, heavy winds caused this underground fire to surface and spread above ground, causing what became known as the Palisades Fire.
After dropping passengers off, he parked his car at the bottom of a hiking trail and walked up, according to the complaint. He called 911 to report the fire, fled the scene, but returned, taking videos of the flames.
I can tell you ATF has determined that the fire was ignited with an open flame.
Rinderknecht was living in the Palisades at the time, but was taken into custody in Florida, where he's currently residing, according to U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley. The origin of the fire was not far from where Rinderknecht was living at the time on Via La Costa in the Palisades Highlands. That property now destroyed. One neighbor calling the act twisted and still looking for more answers.
It seems like we understand the origin of the January 1st fire. I think we want to know more about why the January 7th fire, given the particularly dangerous situation that was happening that day. Why were we not able to be prepared enough to stop that fire in its tracks?
The complaint is loaded with digital evidence. Prosecutors allege Rinderknecht's ChatGPT log shows he created an image depicting a burning forest and crowds fleeing it.
He is now being held accountable for his actions. Whether that provides closure for people who lost somebody in the fire or lost everything they owned in the fire, only they can say that. But it's for us, it's a good feeling to be able to ensure that there's not somebody out there who's looking to do this again.
He made his first court appearance today and has a detention hearing set for tomorrow. And if convicted, he faces up to 20 years in prison. Mark, Michelle.
While the
20 years in prison, huh? That's crazy. Let's just let's unbook this, man. So basically they're saying that 27-year-old guy, Mr. Jonathan, Uber driver, New Year's Day, so early morning New Year Day, set a fire. Well, I don't know if it's early morning. I don't know the exact time, but he set a fire purposefully. Is that what it's kind of saying? He set a fire purposefully and then called the police. They put it out, but that fire was still burning under the ground. And then it sparked back up 7 days later because of the winds and shit. And then it burnt the whole city down. Whoa. Now, look, let's unbunk this. He originally wanted to set the fire, but he called the police and probably had a second thought and said, let's put this fire out. They put it out, or supposedly put it out. So I'm going to say after that, his hands are wiped clean. I'm not going to justify what he did, but at the moment he did call the police to put it out. They put it out. They just happened not to put it out completely. Them not putting it out completely, it spread. Then he came back and was taking pictures of it. Oh, no. See, the timeline's all off. You see this? They're jumping around. He started a fire. Then he called the police. Then he came back to take pictures that day. They put it out. They came, and then it didn't go out all the way. Days later, it sparked back up. Now, I would say this. Do we blame this man? And I'm not defending him, but I just want to be objective or subjective. Do we blame him for the fire starting initially? Yes, it was his fault. But he did call the police and the fire department. They put it out. But then it sparked back up by itself, which means the fire department and police department did not completely put it out, unless they didn't put it out to where they could see it. Now, I want to see how this play out in court because of the concept that technically it's negligence on the fire department's behalf by not putting it out. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Say he opened a fire hydrant and the water spilled everywhere and it was flooding a little area. And he's like, oh shit, this looks like it's going to get bad. He called the fire department and they put the fire hydrant and they tightened it back up. But they happened not to tighten it up, or they tightened it up too hard where it bust a valve somewhere else and then flooded a whole city. Do we blame the guy or the fire department for overcorrecting? Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I'm not trying to defend the guy. I'm just trying to justify how this is going to play out in court because, you know, they're in California. So he moved to Florida after that. He knew he was in trouble because he said, ooh, I started this. And I think the only connection they had to this guy that he even started it is due to the fact that he made the phone call to the police department. Other than that, they had no connection at who started this. I think it killed people. Also caused a lot of damage, millions of dollars in damage, including that guy's own home. But do we blame the overcorrection of the fire department, or do we claim this guy that initially started it? Because the fire started days, maybe even a week after he actually initially started it. After initially they supposed to have put it out. You get what I'm saying? And then I like that the neighbor stated, the real question is, why don't you have the resources to extinguish something like this? Knowing that it's something that is commonly done, it's like not being prepared for an earthquake, knowing that earthquakes happen. You purposely didn't prep for one, or you know that floods happen and you don't have a way to prevent flooding water from flooding the homes and ruining people's homes, causing insurance to go up. And because the whole State Farm thing happened, where they were either canceling people's premiums or raising them so high they can't afford them, right? And then they had that the celebrities kind of come in. A lot of celebrity homes were being affected. But all this over an Uber driver. Damn. I'm going to say this. They're going to have to blame somebody, and they're going to blame this young man for sure because you should have initially never started it. But then there were other people that were starting fires in the Palisades when they were starting. There were other people sparking leaves and stuff because, you know, the high winds, the dry heat, and fire is just going to start spreading, right? This is very venomous. I don't know why he would do this. And then you got proof of your ChatGPT of pictures of the cities burning and citizens leaving. I don't know. And those are all evidence of intent. So that means you intentionally did this. So you get no leeway when it comes to the government. They're going to look at this like, oh, this guy, he meant to burn this down. Regardless if he called the police and had them extinguish it. It would have never initially started if this guy had never lit the flame, which is true. So in that aspect, he said he's facing up to 20 years. But this is California, dude. They let criminals do what the hell they want. They let them cause millions of dollars in damage. So I want to see what they think about this here. Uber driver initially sparked the flame that started the Palisades Fire. Fire department did not fully extinguish it, but they thought they did. It started back up 7 days later, made millions of dollars of injury, made a lot of injuries, possible deaths, I believe, and millions of dollars of damage within their city. They were not prepared for it, and it burned forever, for a long time, let's say, and burned a lot of property down. Now, I will say they should be prepared for this. I hope that they now are prepared because this happened in January. I hope that California is now prepared for this to happen at any point. This happened in Los Angeles, I believe, Hollywood area, Los Angeles. I hope that they're prepared in case that does happen again, because how many times does it have to happen before you not to be prepared? How many times do you get bit by a snake before you realize it's a snake? You know what I'm saying? So I hope he gets held responsible because it like you said, like I said originally, he did do it. So that being said, without his startup, that wouldn't have happened. You got to charge him. Tell me what y'all think about this in the comment section. Do you blame the negligence of the fire department not putting the fire out, or do you blame the initial guy that started the fire? Or do you blame the negligence of the city not having enough resources in order to put this fire out? Not having extra water on hand to extinguish it, staff, all that. Because at one point they had to use people in prison to help former firefighters that went to jail for this fire. They did what they had to do to get this fire down and extinguished. But who do you blame for this, and who should be sentenced? Should this guy be sentenced, or should he get a life sentence? Out of 20 years, in the comment section, tell me how many years he deserves for this. $1 million of damages. Your boy Angelo Savage. Tell me what you think. Peace.